In a world overflowing with distractions, we seek meaning. How do we transform ambition into something deeper, into true fulfillment? I'm Sam Pepin, CEO of Centrica, and I've spent years helping businesses succeed by connecting their goals to something bigger. On the Meaningful podcast, we explore not just how to win in business, but how to grow as individuals. Through conversation with thought leaders, innovators, and everyday heroes, we uncover the stories that drive us towards something greater. Whether you're striving for success, seeking purpose, or just looking for the next steps in your journey, this podcast is your guide to navigating the intersection of ambition, growth, and meaning. So please join me and our incredible guests as we redefine what's possible in both business and life. Enjoy. Success isn't about what you accomplish, it's about who you inspire along the way. Welcome to the Meaningful Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Pepin, and today we're diving into 3 transformative themes: mastering the power of influence, turning adversity into strength, and the secrets to building an unstoppable mindset. Our guest today is Carlos Siqueira, an internationally recognized speaker, high-performance coach, and the founder of Disruptors, LLC. From humble beginnings selling bread on the street of Brazil to mentoring Fortune 100 executive and scaling multi-billion-dollar businesses, Carlos has mastered the art of resilience, influence, and business acceleration. His strategies empower entrepreneurs and leaders to break through limitations and create extraordinary success. If you enjoyed this discussion, please let the world know with a like, a small review, or even a quick share. Your support helps more people find meaningful content just like this. Let's begin. Mr. Carlos Siqueira, welcome on the Meaningful Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely incredible. And we have both a personal and professional relationship. So excited to have you on the show. But to kick us off, please tell us more about Disruptors LLC.
Man, Disruptors is something a dream that I always had since growing up in Brazil, Sam. You know a little bit about my background story with father dying at such a young age as a baby in a horrible car explosion. And with my stepfather being murdered and having to sell bread on the streets at age 7. And I often told my friends that we sold alongside each other. One day, I will build a company that's not about me. It's about us. It's about unity. It's about transcendence. It's about becoming one, leaving no one behind, giving a voice to the voiceless, helping the underdogs, giving somebody a chance, helping somebody that's struggling just because somebody doesn't have money, finding ways to working with others, helping them grow their businesses, putting them on a podcast, some awesome show like this, getting them on a radio show, getting them on a stage, giving them a shot. Not just because, oftentimes growing up and whenever you come from poverty, you're going to get to places sometimes that you're going to see the haters and they're going to say you don't belong on this side of town. Or you're never going to make it in New York, in Los Angeles, in Dubai, in Canada, whatever place you are at right now. But at the end of the day, I often tell people, man, it's not about our color of our skin or our gender or where we go to school. It's not about none of that. It's about our attitude that's going to make us win. It's about being that person that adds the most value than anybody else in your industry, in your niche, every single day becoming better. Give me just 1% more every single day, and you watch the magic happens. Disruptor is about empowering every single one out there who is struggling, who has a business, who wants to grow, who wants to speak, who wants to make shit happens. That's what Disruptor is about.
Beautiful, beautiful. And truly, obviously, like you said, I know a little bit about your backstory, but it is absolutely fascinating. And one quote that I always keep in mind, I remember we were, that time, I think we were in Los Angeles at the time you told me that one. You said, Sam, the days that breaks us are truly the days that makes us. And I thought it was, first of all, it's beautifully said, but truly with somebody with your background, like you said, selling bread on the streets, you were obligated to do that to be able to support your family. How does those early experiences shape your entrepreneurial spirits now? And how does that shape basically how you approach every single challenge, small or big, at any time?
That quote, I always often say, like, quote, everybody steals them from the Bible and whatever Bible they read. But that saying, that profound saying that I often say from the stage, on my podcast, on my book, the days that breaks us are truly the days that makes us. It keeps me grounded. From back in the day when I come from poverty. My grandma, she was my mom, and she used to be a housekeeper, and she used to sweep the house of professors. And when she was sweeping the kitchen or the living room, and they were there after school and college, she always hear them talking, and she would absorb their wisdom. She would take their favorite books that she would ask them, "What's your favorite? And why is your favorite?" And then she would take that home and she would read it to us, and then she would tell us those quotes. Oftentimes, some of those quotes were from Napoleon Hill, Og Mandino, Les Brown, Tony Robbins. And, crazy part is that one day I used to tell her, one day, Grandma, I'm going to be on the stage with those guys. One day, Grandma, I'm going to inspire and empower the celebrities, the athletes, the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. Because I used to ask her, Sam, hey, Grandma, why they don't come here to Brazil? Why they don't come to this part of town, to the favelas, to the hood, to the barrios, to the bairros?
Right.
E she goes, son, eles não falam português. They don't speak Portuguese. I go, God dang it. I was like, one day, Grandma, you watch me. Because my grandma knew, man, I was going to kill myself, Sam, at age 6.5, bro. I was just tired, all I knew was poverty, anger. Imagine, being in a dark, filled room, and the little freaking, imagine the favelas, and it's a small square footage. And on the other side on the wall, if you can call it a wall, you hear your mom being abused and beaten and screaming and crying. And you're just a little boy, and there's nothing that you can do. And then outside the beat up space is chaos, is violence, it's people dying, people being decapitated, corrupted governments, a third of the population unemployed. You see, in the 80s and the 90s in Brazil, very corrupted. You know what I mean? People think they have hard. Third world countries, it's a whole new level of terror. And that's why I often tell people, man, the things that you get pissed off here in America and in some first world countries are people's blessings in third world countries. And that quote, Sam, it brings me back to stay grounded, knowing that, once upon a time I had it worse. There is somebody out there that has worse than you right now, right? I often tell people the 9 followers that you have is the honor them, give it all you got to them, because somebody doesn't even have that, right? The 10 listeners are 100 listeners that you get, the 20 downloads per episode, the 50 views on your YouTube. Be grateful for that, because those days that breaks us, that we wanted to delete it, the post, not publish the show, right? All this crap that goes in our mind as entrepreneurs, as influencers, as we grow, is someone else's blessing, and that's what the quote is about, is to stay grounded, staying grateful, trading our expectations for appreciation. I call the creator's economy. I am you. You are me. And the only difference between us, it's time.
Absolutely. And there's so much wisdom actually in the story you just share. The fact that you're obviously your who you call your mother was trying to get the best book from those people, coming back at home and sharing those with you. And to me, and every single time I see you, I see the exact same Carlos. I see somebody that is bold, that is vibrant, that is authentic, but someone that is also extremely wise. And I think that from just a root cause of that wisdom, or at least that quest of yours, which is to seek wisdom, is definitely coming back from your mother. You always speak very highly of your mother, and you obviously very, very highly of gratitude as well. When you're thinking about just not just how the rough that basically early experiences are, but also how those few people, your mother, few of the people around you, basically were able to allow you to become the person you deserve to become. How did that basically shape this duality of the world, which is, hey, there's evil out there, there's also God, there's also greatness, there's also things that we should seek. Tell me more about how was that just growing up as a very, very adolescent, a teen.
Man, what I started noticing is that, it's like, I had a choice, right? When I was a kid, I was like, okay, I can go and take an eye for an eye, right? Things were happening to my mom because I had my mom and my grandma both raising me, and they both in their choice of men, it was horrible, abusive, drunken, and my grandfather was in military and then a policeman. And imagine being a policeman in Brazil in the midst of all the corruption in those times, in the 80s and the 90s. It's all you hear on the TV is murder, decapitated, kidnapped, somebody die. Outside the doors of your home is shootouts, right? Gangsters competing for territory. And when you hear the bullets, my grandma dropped dead. Just drop dead on the floor. When you put your bicycle down and stay there until that's no more bullets flying over your head, and pray, son. So that was my life as a teen, from 7 years old, selling bread on the streets. So imagine the chaos, right? And this is like, not like, oh, once in a blue moon, like it's like every other day, So it's like I don't even know, man. It's like most people, they will never understand, like I often tell people, you must suffer, you go through shit and hell to understand. Before you become a multimillionaire and build that dream business, you must go through hell, because so you understand. So you really put your shoes in the shoes of your employee, the frontline person that's hopping on two buses and walking maybe 2 or 3 miles to get to work. Let's say
Yeah.
if you have a call center in a third world country, you have no idea how much work sometimes these people have to travel just to go to that call center, right? I'm talking about 1 or 2 buses, walking a mile or two, and waking up at 3 in the morning. Maybe they got to travel from a small city to the big town. It's like when you go layers in deep, it's so much shit, brother. But I realized that all that struggle, I could be like, okay, I could put in the work, or I could become evil, could become a gangster, go commit a crime. But I saw that an eye for an eye only makes the whole world blind. I saw that a lot of my friends, they die young, as teens, very young age, because they would
Mm.
turn into crime and gangs. And then I was like, no, I'm gonna go on the other side. Just because this has happened to my family and people are being murdered, people are being taken away from me, and I figure if I work long enough, and if I keep feeding myself every day, journaling, learning, asking better questions, I think that's one of the foundation. We are not trained to think about our own thinking. And somehow, man, it's God, my grandma, whatever you want to call it. I always have that with me. Just pause, breathe, think about your own thinking. Think about your own doubts. Think about it. Many of us sometimes, opportunities, they show up on our doors, and then we start doubting it.
Mm.
And instead of doubting it, I often tell people, when you hear some wisdom, when you connect with somebody on social media, on the influencer, you listen to their podcast and they're promoting something, or they telling you, go read this book, instead of be like having that doubt, or just another book, another podcast, another video, blah, blah, blah. No, it's like, hold up. When is the last time that I doubt my own doubts? When is the last time that I think about my own thinking? I call this stinking thinking, right? Because we are not trained as society to think about our own thinking. We are trained from school days to be reactive and not proactive, right?
Right.
The way how we were trained. If you look at how the how schools and colleges and how the whole curriculum was put together, was based on old methods from the early 1900s to teach the young men that went to war. When they came back, now you go to work for the big company, go work for Ford or whatever, go build cars, and then get married, go to school, and die. Go to church, have kids, right? But that's how this whole shit was put together. But and then how about, no, go become entrepreneur? But hey, you will suffer. You will struggle. You will feel like quitting. You're gonna feel like choking people. You're gonna, you wanted to quit. And if you're in a third world country, it's gonna be hell. It's gonna be haters. It's gonna be competition. In third world countries, they will try to kill you. Over here, we talk shit each other, right? US and London and Dubai. We talk shit. We attack one another on social media. People are brave on the other side, right? But third world countries, they will kill you. They will kill your family. They will kidnap your children. It's a whole nother level, brother. When you are, starting a business, or when you get into certain territories, even in the influencer space. Right now, influencers are being killed in Mexico, right? Because they say some silly about the cartels. You don't want to pick a fight with the cartels. You don't want to act all brave because you're behind your studio. They are being murdered. So you see,
Right.
being an influencer, even a podcast is a serious business. If you're getting, into the wrong skins and start talking shit and around the wrong families, if you're in a third world country, it's not like in US. So, I know that I'm going everywhere here with this, but I really want people to really understand that the biggest thing is put yourself around others that are smarter than you. Put yourself around others that are as hungry as you. Put yourself around others that have struggled more than you and succeeded. Because now they can give you that wisdom on what to do, what not to do. How do I become a successful, whatever they want to be, right? An author, a coach, a podcaster, an entrepreneur. You want to open a car dealership, a butcher, whatever you want it to be. I used to ask these guys growing up, what makes you so successful? What is some of the things that you should do and you shouldn't? Why? And why? And why? And I would journal, bro. I would journal for the last 30 plus years. Just journal people's best practices, do's and don'ts. Now pausing, thinking about my own thinking, doubting my own doubts, and now really self-reflecting before making actions and decisions that's going to better my family, my friends, my loved ones, my followers. You know what I mean? So this shit goes deep, Sam. It goes way deep.
Carlos, let me ask you this. Remind me of how old were you when you came to the United States?
18.
So you were 18. Okay, fantastic. So just barely legal age for something another. Obviously not drinking yet, but soon to be.
Yes.
And one thing that is interesting to me is obviously before your entrepreneurial journey, you obviously try to climb the corporate ladder, right? Yeah. And you did so quite successfully, actually, all the way to being a top sales executive. I want you to put yourself back at that time. You're 18 years old now. You come to the US with not much, if not, in your words, nothing. You have these very, very traumatic, but also wisdom, like basically early childhood and teen years that made you a way wiser person than the average 18 years old in the United States. Let's be very honest. So you came with basically that duality of both worlds, some good, some evil. How was it, just psychologically speaking, not basically the skill set to start with, psychologically speaking, how was it to even contemplate chasing a more, I wouldn't say cushy job, but just a job that is corporate-like with other people and actually striving basically to run a semi-moral basically company? Tell me about how that is when you come from such a background.
You're talking about my 18 years old, man. All I want when I come to US, I fell in love with this country when I saw at the airport in Miami and then in Boston. I was a dollar double cheeseburger. In Brazil, McDonald's is for rich people. And I saw, and I was like, I want 4 of those. Talk about, no, man. But, man, we came here with a few $100, Sam. My mom and I remember what we had $800, if I can recall. I took 200 out of the 8 and I bought a car and a payment plan because I know we need a car.
Oh, wow.
After a few weeks being here, walking on the snow, and it was hell. I'm like, oh, hell no, we need a car. It's too cold. We flew into Florida the next day. We in Boston, got some of my cousins in there and friends. And
sure.
Now, you were just working, like doing the hard work, right? Cleaning snow, landscaping, dishwashing, whatever
it takes.
Whatever I could. But I was like, this sucks. I was like, this sucks. I don't want to do this for this less of a pay. $6.75, $7, $7.50. The construction work, like the landscaping or cleaning snows, that pay a little bit more, but also it took a ton on your health, right? Because you're out there cleaning snow or carrying, dirt for hours on the cold. And you coming, in this case, I grew up in the Amazon, so extremely hot, so that complete different climates. Mm-hmm. So, but and then how whenever we get pissed off, that's when we do things. Like you get angry, you start getting pissed off about something. Normally, we never do it. Like I tell people, like right now, if you're listening to me and you're comfortable, that's when you do shit. That's why you put yourself in an uncomfortable environment when you are comfortable, when you are feeling good, or you that's when you go for the shit. You don't want to do it when it hits the fan. At that point, you cannot do shit. Because, a COVID showed up, or recession back in 2008 for the elder ones, or 2001 for the a little bit older ones, right? But for some of the younger crowd that might be listening to this, you remember, everybody remembers COVID is only 4 or 5 years ago, right? You don't want to wait for that to happen. You don't want to wait for when social media, like the days we were talking about taking away TikTok. What if you
Yeah.
all day, thank God, I guess Trump is going to buy yours. I don't know. Something's going to happen. He's going to put in a few good words for TikTok. And then, but imagine if you're relying on those social media companies, for your business to generate leads and stuff. You can't. You got to prepare. You got to cultivate your email list. You got to get out there, get on stages, speaking, being interviewed on my podcast. You got to put yourself out there often, use your phone number, right? Text 1111, whatever, right? Text, let's freaking rock. Text, get paid to speak on stages, right? Now you have that text. You have a list of phone numbers, a list of emails that you control it. So you don't leave nothing for chance.
Right.
So, when I look back and I was so angry, I gotta be able to do some. There must be things out there, and I asked myself, what am I good with? And I was like, okay, sales. I can sell anything. You put me anywhere, put me in the jungles of Sahara, Kuala Lumpur, or the Amazon, and you tell me to go sell something, I'll go make it happen. I'll go knock on that door. I see the lion, I'll go towards. That's what the Indians did, right? The real predators, the Indians from back, they will go, because if you run away, they will hunt you and they will kill you. But if you go towards, now they're like, whoa, hold on. They're not supposed to come towards me.
Who's
right?
That? Yeah.
So you face your fears head on. You might die, but you face, might as well die. My grandpa always say, take a few with you. But the moral of the story, Sam, you gotta ask yourself, what am I good at? And now, how do you 100x that? Why you keep asking yourself, if I'm good at something, I need to 100x whatever I am good, even if it's just 1% better every single day. And I figured it out. Sales, I'm going to look at sales jobs. I start seeing people. One day the guy came and they were selling the what do you call what's the name? I went blank. They were, those OG Britannica books.
Right.
Yes, they were selling that door to door. And those are beautiful books, collection. And he came in and knocked at my door in Massachusetts. When I said, I said, how much you make? He's like, we make decent if you buy some of this. And then the other time somebody came in selling cable. And I said, hey, how much you make? How easy it is? And I was like, okay. And then one day I was at Boston Market. And then I was, doing my thing. I was a chef there. And I saw a bunch of guys outside, nice cars. One guy had a cool Impala, all pimped up with spinners and a lot of jewelry. I'm like, must be some drug dealers. And then so I go outside for a break, smoke a cigarette, and then I walk towards them. I'm going to go and ask those dudes what they do with my heavy Brazilian accent. People don't do shit like this. You got to do what others don't do, can do, and won't think of doing. So I went to ask, because, since I was a kid, I always ask people that I see successful. So I'm like, hey, what do you guys do? You guys drug dealers or something? And this guy is crazy. He's like, no, we are cable people. Like, we are the cable men. I'm like, no. Like, what do you mean? You sell cable door to door? And I used to speak very slowly because he's like, yeah, we sell cable door to door. We go, in certain areas and we make $1, $2, $3 a week because this is a new technology that was just evolving. It was cable, and they was transitioning from dial-up on the internet, CD, AOL, to the modem, broadband. That didn't exist back then. So they were introducing new technology. And I was like, I'm like, I can do it. Give me a chance. I can do this. And he's like, no, you barely speak English. I say, no, you teach me the basics and I will get away. I'll figure it out. And he's like, this motherfucker, he's crazy. I say, no, you tell me when I go for the interview. And then they're like, okay, come and meet my dad in Boston, Uncle Fred, rest in peace. And now the son of the guy that owns the subcontracting company told me to come over and meet his father in a few days for an interview. And I show up, bro, with a shirt. I am on fire. Nothing can stop me. Totally. Younger Carlos was crazy as hell. Not professional. I was just fired up, But so don't never do that. Put it in the freaking suit. And now I go bold, Sam. You know what I asked the guy? I say, give me your best guy. I follow him for a day or two. I will do what he does, if not more. Just like that.
Okay.
This little guy, Italian, Mexican dude, look like fucking Al Capone, like Don Corleone. Me 6'5" giant. This little dude walking me like he's OG gangster. It's like I should send you home just because of the shirt, you know. But I like your attitude. You got balls. You walk to my guys on the parking lot, ask if they were gangsters or what did they do, and now you told them to give you a chance, and now you come here in my place, and you tell me, give me your top guy, give me a day or two with him, and I will do what he does, if not more. Say, don't give me just any guy. Give me your best guy. Because why? You want to be always surrounded around people that are better than you. And you want to watch what they do. Now, okay, how can I implement my personality, my charisma, my work ethic? Because you see, I don't care how talented you are. Because if you put in hard work, you can outdo anybody. You see, when talent doesn't do the work, it doesn't work. Right. Think about it. Anybody that's talented, that's great. If they don't put in the work, if Jordan would keep shooting that ball, if Kobe wouldn't keep shooting it on those weekends, those Fridays and those Saturday nights when everybody else was drinking and partying, he wouldn't be the greatest of all time. If Pelé wasn't kicking that ball in the favelas made out of freaking paper and plastic in the dirt with no shoes, and if he wouldn't keep practicing those kicks, he wouldn't be the greatest, the king of soccer of all time, right? So, but that's the key, right? So even if you think, oh, Carlos, I'm not as talented as you, as Sam, to be a great influencer and helping people. No. Guess what? All you got to do is you learn from us, implement your charisma, be around others like us. Now try to outdo us. What will Sam do? What will Carlos do? How can I outdo those guys, right? Now you put in the work. And you have to have balls sometimes, like what I did. It was crazy. Don't do what I did. Right? Changing the shirt, at least, right? Put a nice shirt, a nice shirt.
Right.
Have that audacity. When you are being employed, I want to be around your top guys. If you are in sales, give me the top guys. Let me follow them. Let me listen to them. Let me be around them for a few days and watch me. You know what I mean? And I did, Sam. Literally, I followed this guy for a couple of hours. And I said, now, give me a folder, a few work orders. Let me do it. Watch me and coach me. And then the top guy, he went in, he worked for a few hours. He sold 8. I'm like, oh, yeah, watch. Bro, got the folder. I went in. I noticed they were all going, they were finishing like around like 7:30. They didn't want to bother people. I'm like, no, they're barely coming home. They settling it. I'm like, I'm going to go into 9 p.m. So now I watch him from around whatever, let's say 3 to 6:37. He wants to go like, no, I want you to watch me and let me do it. Now I go, let's just say between 7 and 9, 2 hours. Half of the time, almost, I sold 10. Dude, and it was $50 each. I was like, whoa, $500 in 2 hours. Oh, I did. Very crazy because we had to sell in the hood, in the block, danger areas. Okay. Areas that people wouldn't go there. Dark in those areas, you already know. They're selling coke and meth outside. It's chaos. I'm over there going on the projects door to door because not that many people had the balls to go there, and the corporations wouldn't put people there. So now, $500. I was like, oh my God, I used to make 50 cents a day in Brazil selling bread. I was, excuse me, I was killing myself working freaking 100 hours over here in US. Landscape cleaning, washing dishes, to making $700-800 a week, sleeping 3 hours a day. And now I made $500 in a few hours. Holy shit. So my 18-year-old mind was like, but you see, Sam, that wasn't just those few hours, bro. That was the whole work ethic from age 7. 100%. Not giving up, all those journaling, day in, day out, your best practices, your all those thoughts of wanting to kill myself and no longer be here and keep grinding, keep going, and rejection. You don't belong here, racism and all the shit that I faced. And I used all that anger, man, all that, and I transformed the anger, the disgrace, my past into a drive of commitment, of discipline, of attitude, of resilience, of just the will to be able to learn from the best, become the best of whatever I do. I'll do every single competitive match, because that's one thing that nobody can take it from me. It's my work ethic. It's my integrity. And I went in, brother, and then I called the guy, the gangster, right? The Mr. Don Corleone, the founder of the contractors. Hey, I need to come to your hotel. and show you what I did. And then he's like, okay. So now I'm driving to his hotel. I open up my little metal folder. I grab the 10 work orders and I drop it right on the table. And I say, count. and, and now imagine, guys, it's you and Don Corleone now. And he's like, uno, dos, tres. He's counting like in like a combination of, I'm saying in Spanish here, but he was doing like Spanish, Italian type. He speaks a few languages like I do. And now he's like, diez. And he's like, welcome to La Familia. Welcome to the family. And he's like, geez, like, how did you do it? I say, I told you, give me your best guy. I will do whatever they don't, so the moral of the story, Sam, it's like, sometimes we're going to have to do what others don't do, can't do, and won't think of doing, right? Think about it right now. How can you stand out on social media? All you got to do is what we are doing here. Start doing more videos. They want more videos. They want this real, raw authenticity, right? You can literally clip it. I know that this is only audio, but if it would have been a video, why we could have clip it 30 seconds, 1 minute, put it out there. That's what people want. They don't want the super production, like, in the studio and the fancy cars and the airplanes. They are tired of that, right? It's a lot of fluff. And they want the real, the raw, and the real and the raw. It's like I tell a lot of my clients and the people that I help, look, I'll help you get paid to speak. I'll help you become a well-known speaker and have people coming to you. But guess what? You're not going to make money next week or next month. It's a process. Being on stage, it takes most events, they book 6 months, 9 months, 12 months out. I'm talking about real industry events. I'm talking about corporate events. I'm not talking about fluff events. I'm talking about places where CEOs and founders, directors, seniors, managers and above, founders, where they go to better their companies, their businesses, their employees, where they go to find out about the latest and the greatest systems, AI, data, whatever they are looking for, right? So when you knowing that if that's your avatar, all you got to focus on, how can I be in front of these leaders? How can I be in front? If you are looking for CEOs and founders, executives, managers, and above, ask yourself, where do they go? What podcasts are they listening to? Which events do they put themselves into? What are they struggle with? Think about what is a problem that they seek and they don't have that we can fix with our frameworks, right? Now, all you have to do is reverse engineer the whole thing and have a freaking beast work ethic of outdo every single competitor of yours and just put golden nuggets out there every single day. Put out content, and apply to speak on more stages. Eventually, 6, 9, 12 months from now, you will land these gigs. It's just no way in hell, Sam. Somebody like yourself, bro, you have so much wisdom. If you are applying every week, 5 gigs, that's 20 gigs a month that you are applying, 240 gigs a year. No way in hell that they're going to say no to you 240 times, right? They will select. You have to really suck. You know what I mean? And then if I mentor you, for sure, that's not going to happen because I'll make sure that everything is on point. Why? Because I will never take you to a place that I haven't been before. I'll make sure that even the banner that you choose on LinkedIn is solid, that you use the word speaker on your title. You have to see yourself as a speaker if you want to get paid to speak, right? You got to have a professional sizzle reel. For the ones that don't know what a sizzle is a compilation, a samples of you speaking from the stage. You got to have a speaker one sheet. It's basically, for the ones that don't know, is a one-page PDF resume of you as a speaker. Companies, logos of the companies that you serve, right? I work with podcast. I work with Comcast, Verizon, AT&T, all these organizations, right? So guess what I have on my one page? All the logos of these companies. So now when I'm applying to speak, they're going to ask for assets to upload. I got all my assets on point. Now I can tailor my talk to a problem they seek and they don't have that I can fix it with my frameworks. So now imagine you want to speak for bigger companies, Google and Facebook and whatever companies your highest aspirations and the biggest industry events. When you are strategic in filling out that form and applying it, who you think they're going to choose?
You.
Right? Preparation, discipline, 30 years in the game, knowing how they think, what it makes them select you, how to apply, what you say, how to say it, having your assets on point. So now when you apply, you bypass everybody else. And again, if you're doing 5 a week, 20 a month, 240 a year, it's no way in hell. And that's why I tell people, yeah, I can help you. It's not going to be right away. But one thing, 6 to 9 months from now, you're going to be laughing. You're going to be texting me, hey, man, thank you. That one stage, I made more money than I ever done in my entire life, right?
Yeah.
Money is just a byproduct. Money is just a byproduct of the value that you bring to your niche. If you think about it, the amount of money that you're going to make, Sam, this year, and our friends, our competitors, is literally correlated to the value they bring to the niche. How much value you bring into the niche? How much value you bring? To think about it, right? So if you bring enough value, it's going to come back tenfold, right? They're going to call you. They're going to reach out to you to interview you on their shows. They're going to want you to come in and keynote their events, their annual events, their corporate events, right? And from that, because some of these events you're not allowed to pitch, but they're going to be drawn to you because of the frameworks that you teach. And from that, you're going to form relationships that you can now coach CEOs one-on-one. You can interview them on your shows. And now they want you to come in and do a workshop and teach their sales force. What if you get a company like Comcast or AT&T Broadband that has, 10, 20, 30, 50,000 sales force back in the day, right? Now I feel they are eliminating a bunch of positions because of AI, but there's still opportunity there, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's how you frame it, how you appear, the value that you bring to your niche. And again, it all goes back to the work ethic of just being a beast, relentless, putting the work every day. When
Absolutely.
just give me one more day, one more video than your competitor.
Absolutely. Let me explore a thought with you. One thing that was always something on my mind is if you want to be exceptional, you need to do exceptional things, right? Most people, the large majority of people, follow the same exact framework as everybody else and therefore become average. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for those ambitious and basically exceptional being in formation, in constructions, you want to understand that, well, the exceptional ones got to be exceptional because they do exceptional things, and therefore you need to do so yourself as well. When you're thinking of that specific line of thoughts, one thing and one person I love to listen to is obviously David Goggins, and Goggins talk about this very often, which is choosing your heart, right? This understanding that you can either choose basically to do easy work, but therefore your circumstances will be hard, or you can choose to do hard work, but your circumstances will be easy. And that main of thought, even though that's very simplistic, is something that I saw to be very well applied into any marketplace to identify who's winning and who's not. One thing that was very interesting within your journey, though, is you became the top salesman of basically that specific, obviously, company. But then, and this is where I want to have you more extend your mind because I think it's very interesting. You went to mentoring. You went to a place of already to be an educator, to be somebody of a resource. And I suppose it was in order for you to duplicate yourself because obviously time is finite. And I suppose when you're at the top of that food chain sales-wise, you might want to now become into managers and leadership seats. You can amplify your reach even more. But I'm wondering, if you put yourself back in that time, you're now a top salesman. Your life is great, right? Your circumstances are way easier than you ever had it in your whole life. What made you make the leap of faith towards mentoring, basically, from that standpoint, from literally helping Fortune 100 companies to now let me mentor basically everybody so we can amplify our own message and make the world better that way?
It's a great question, Sam. It's like I often talk about on the stage that when we die, we're not going to take nothing with us. And when I look at myself, I was like, I don't have enough things out there, So if I were to die, unexpectedly, do I have a book that's like a true book, not just any book? I want to have a compilation of like something that's alive, something that shares wisdom from different people, whether it's a kid from the favelas or a CEO of a Fortune 50 company struggling. And that's when I went on deciding to publish my book and getting myself on more stages and opening up my schedule to mentor people one-on-one and in groups to share, to duplicate that wisdom. So that if I would have died, because I told myself, you haven't done enough, brother. I look at the mirror and I was like, I don't have enough content out there. I don't have enough. in my mind, even though I was doing things, I used to interview people on MySpace back in the day, right? And so I've been interviewing people for 20 plus years, but I still wasn't enough because some of the social medias they go away. Like we cannot log back in to MySpace. I wish I could, and watch the young Carlos, interviewing people, not professional at all, but hey, that's the shit that we need, right? Is looking back at ourselves. But and then so it kind of hit me, Sam, because I was like, one of my biggest fears is knowing that if I was in a near death situation, if I had anything left in the gas tank.
Mm.
I never want to have anything left in the gas tank. And I was like, I need to do more. Yeah, I've been doing some great stuff. I have some properties in Brazil, and then I, plant food, give back to the community. I'm always donating. I'm always helping feed the hungry. I mean, I donate money to, foundations and places that are about trafficking. Those are some of the things that I want to help solve: is sex trafficking, organ trafficking, hunger. I would love to be one of the guys that help assisted end hunger around the world. Right. That's always something but how can I do it is by being around others that think alike, right? I got to be around billionaires. I got to be around athletes, soccer players, ball players, people that have tens of millions, 100 million plus followers. Because if I can get to their head, now we can impact a billion people faster. Now we can create movements, but again, it's a lot of ego in, getting to these people involved. The higher the food chain you want to go, it's the more ego, the more shit, right? But and that's what it came down to. It was a real talk conversation with me, looking in the mirror that I got to do more. And I figured the only way to do it, I have to be able to put myself out there, invest in myself, learn, have different mentors, and understand. I went on, one time I remember having several mentors. I had a mentor for my voice because I was losing my voice. Shout out to my brother, Roger Love, voice coach in Los Angeles. The guy is pretty much was the voice coach for Gwen Stefani, DiCaprio,
Oh, that's
the
incredible.
Tony Robbins, right? All because I was losing my voice. So I was like, as a speaker, I cannot lose my voice. Because after the stage, I would have hundreds of people, reach out. They want to be mentored by me or group coaching, whatever I was doing, and I was like, I can't, I don't have no voice, So, it's like new levels, new devils. But at that one point, I had a consultant, I had board of advisors, I had a voice coach, I had, like a marketing coach, social media coach. So all these things, because I was growing, so I need to take some of this money, reinvest back in my company, hiring better people that I am, let it go. Let it go, the power and the micromanaging, all this shit that we think that we got to be on top of it. No, let them do the work. Let them fail. Fail forward, fail faster, fail frequently, right? We heard that from the legends. And that was right there, Sam, coming to Jesus moment. Like, you know what? I got to become even better, because the better than I can become, now I can take my clients to places that I have not been before. Now, I'm able to, greatest thing that I ever can do to somebody is, yes, getting them on the stages, getting them having a bunch of clients coming in on autopilot. But now, let's take some of this money that you just made, reinvest back in your company. Go hire a CFO, a CEO, a social media manager, a good editor, right? Go hire good people. Now let them do the shit that you don't like to do. Because guess what? We just did that. We bought your time back. You know what I mean? So, now that you bought your time back, now you can go do what you do best, right? If you love to speaking, if you like coaching groups, if you like helping nonprofits, right? Been in LA these last few days. It's crazy fire. I got family, I got friends, I got clients there, right? I spoke at some of those homes. They are no longer there. One of my very close friends right now, his house is like 200 meters from being destroyed. So I'm out there, I'm pushing. The posts that I've been putting on social media, underneath the comments, I've been putting the places that people can go and donate. All the food kitchens in LA, the Fire Foundation, LA Fire Department Foundation, so I'm facilitating. One of my guys, having people that have large animals, bringing animals to his farms. So you see, it's like everybody's coming together as a unity, as a group, and we are talking about it. In times like this, when your city, when your state, is burning down, we're coming together, right? And again, it's Sunday. I'm tired, but I'm here making it happen, because I told you, I committed to you that we were going to do this, and we're making it happen. So it's like no excuses. And it's all that eventually when we don't quit, man, it pays off, Sam.
It
And it's
does.
beautiful. It's beautiful when you see, man, those kids growing up and the people that you mentor out there, sharing stages with you. And it's just, it's incredible, man. The level of the people that I got to know because I decided to interview people for a long time, people that I become close friends with, people that I share stages with. Then my grandma read me their books. And now we are friends. We know each other by names. We have each other's phone number. We talk shit through text, you know.
And
But again, it was all a dream, Sam. 30,
it was
40 years, all a dream, all a
absolutely.
wild dream.
And it's incredible because one of the first picture that I saw of you was you on stage with Tony Robbins. You were crying, arms in the air with Tony, one of the greatest, obviously of this generations. From a dream perspective, not just the accomplishment of saying I was able to do so, I told you so. There's a little bit of ego there, but there's also a lot of wisdom, a lot of basically what I call the chakra beings aligned. But what it means not only for you, but for the people surrounding you. And obviously now you have children, you have all this new generation to inspire. It's, not only do you do so with your own story, but you do it every single day with pulling the artwork, with putting this understanding that, hey, it's never over. We're never to a point where we must stop, right? There's always what you just said, new goals, new devils. I think it's new levels, new devils. I think that's beautifully said because you're completely right, right? You dominated your space. Now you went to the level above and now you have another level to dominate. The game is never ended.
No,
And that reminds me of a quote by Solomon, actually, which is every man ought to plant a tree, have a son, and write a book. Now you help planted thousands of millions of trees. You have children's, but you also wrote a book, which actually many books, but one of them that I have a signed copy of, which I want to first of all thank you, which is Work Like an Immigrant. And when you're talking about a body of work that is not just any book, but a book that can stand the test of time, I think that just might be it, brother. So I had a chance to read it. I read a lot, and you know it, and you read a lot as well. But Work Like an Immigrant and truly kind of like the nine keys to unlock your potential is I think a phenomenal book. Anyone that is listening to this, you can get it on all major platforms. Truly a blessing to anyone if you want to give it a copy or even read
I
yourself.
even I even keep it next to me, man, at all times because I gotta read and follow what I preach. It's something
Yeah,
that a lot of people they do and they don't follow what they preach. But it's like a Bible, man. This thing, it's like it's alive. It's
it
something that
is.
I always wanted to leave a legacy that I can truly say, that's millions of dollars in knowledge in here. That I wanted people to apply. I pray that one day they'll put in more schools and colleges, that the kids can learn and they can mastermind about it. You know, it's
Yeah,
definitely it's definitely. I'm with you, man. I always wanted to put something out there that will live through all times. I wanted them to talk about me and how they talk about Napoleon Hill and Og Mandino and Nelson Mandela when I'm no longer here. I want to be able to
yeah,
do so much for this planet. I see so many kids die, Sam, and I see people being shot in the head, man. Some of my friends are no longer here that we sowed alongside each other. And I always wanted to do something so that no more kids have to go through that. I want to
mm,
make sure that before I die, I know it's impossible, but nothing's impossible actually. I mean, but I really pray that I can help, let me make sure that no more children are having to work at a young age or die because of a hunger. There's so much resources out there, so much technology and so much wealth that children shouldn't be dying because of food. Shouldn't have to go to work. You know what I mean? And when I wrote this book, I wrote it for them. I wrote it for the underdog, but I also wrote it for that Fortune 50 guy to also think about that and that celebrity, that athlete, that gold medalist, right? That money and fame and all this shit, we're not gonna take it nothing with us. Think about it. The wealthiest person in the planet not taking 1 cent when he's gone, right? So, and that's why you cannot be attached with the shit, man. You cannot be attached with the material stuff. It's like when you're out there, man, like sweating on the streets and giving back and doing your thing, and people are thanking you because you showed up. You're helping carry, a few gallons of water, and people's hound just lost their whole homes, and you handling them a gallon of milk, and some bread and water, and you put in the back of their trunk, and they look at you, "Oh, Carlos inspire?" You're like, "No, brother, it's just Carlos, man." praise the Lord. You know what I mean? So they put the big old smile, they see you, but it's like I love seeing their face when they see you out there and you're helping and you're just giving back and they thank you, and it was like, nah, it's not me, man. It's just I'm just a vessel. I'm
That's
just a
right.
vessel. It's God. It's a lot of people that have been there before me, a lot of people that died before me. That's why whenever you guys see my wings, on the videos, each part of that wing is a person that's no longer here. It's a person
Mm.
that been there for me. And I keep grounded, man. So that's how work like an immigrant that is. It's a living, breathing book of personal development strategies.
It is, and it's a beautiful piece of work. Tell me more about some of the writing process, because one thing that fascinates me about you is not only that you have the drive within you, which is a gift itself, but the gift also of being able to sharing it in some ways that other people not only understand it but get also inspired by it. It's kind of like this two, three, four levels deep. When you're thinking about the work you were doing on other basically media platforms, obviously interviews, speaking on stages, those are all very basically very, very verbal, which you're fantastic at doing. Tell me more about the differences or even the similarities with now putting that basically that energy and that basically that essence in writing forms. Was that easy for you? Was that difficult? Tell me more about how you were able to do so in such a brilliant fashion.
The writing piece for me, I was journaling for so long, Sam, and my goal was journal for so many decades since I was young, and eventually be able to transfer that into a book.
Right.
And then, eventually you would hire an editor, a ghostwriter to, okay, here's 30 years of my notes, of my book, of now let's put this into a book that will last generations, that will never die long after I'm no longer here, right? So I had that intent even when I started journaling that
Oh, this
long
is
ago.
incredible.
And then I would journal, and then eventually, I used to have the old school typewriter for some people that are old enough, and I would just have pages and pages and pages. And then I have my old school, we call cadernos, notes from Brazil. And then I'm like, now I gotta pencil all this together, put in a Word document. Now I gotta give it to a professional here, just correct the grammar and any shit that's not in
Put it
alignment. Right?
together.
Yeah. Do not change. Like, do not freaking. That's which is a mistake. A lot of people they do, right? They would write something, or they will give AI, or they will hire a ghostwriter, and they will change like your essence. How you expect them to connect with you if it's not you, right?
Right.
So it's very important that you gotta be involved in the process. Here's the book, and now boom, correct the freaking grammars and the punctuations. That's all I want you to do. you know, and I like to teach. I also think about it. And one thing that I often teach, right, heavily when I was doing heavy mentoring back then, I was speaking a lot of masterminds, and I would highly emphasize that you might be great at videos, interviewing from the stage. There's a lot of people that learn by reading. So
Yes.
you have to understand what are the modalities of learning of your ideal avatar, right? Are they readers? Are they viewers? They learn by watching? They learn by reading? Do they learn by coming to your events and masterminds and whatever you put it together? You have to understand that, because there is a market for each one of those types. And then, it's almost like you're doing yourself also a discernment, Sam. If you know that you are great at teaching by videos and interviews and all this stuff, you gotta put the stuff out there in writing, in blogs, in books, in newsletters, right? Because there is a huge market for those things. You probably saw newsletters popping up on LinkedIn like this past couple of years. Everybody and their mouth. Why? Because there is a market for newsletters. People are selling a newsletter, company, because they have tens of thousands of viewers.
Yep.
And you can sell that for millions of bucks. Because guess what? Some of those newsletters, they charge $1, 2, 3, 5. And if you have tens of thousands of members giving you the type of cash, companies will pay for that, right?
Absolutely.
So there is so much out there and that's why I'm a big proponent of telling people, like episode number 91 with my podcast with Don Green, the president of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, right? The guy sold I think it was 175 million books. You're like, what the heck, dude? That's a lot of books, right?
That's a
Thinking
pretty much, yeah.
Think and Grow Rich, or Outwitting the Devil, all the books that Napoleon did. And that's a lot of books, man. And we were telling people, so as you guys can tell, that is a market for books. And then, okay, right, you got the written piece, and then you got the audio piece. And it costs you nothing, Sam. It costs you nothing to write a book and to record yourself. Even if you don't have a fancy studio, go in the closet, put a bunch of pillows, get a nice Yeti mic, $100, $200 on Amazon. Now record it. Now upload it. Now have a bunch of friends and neighbors buying it. So now Amazon's gonna be like, oh wow, people are buying this. And now they're gonna push it for you at no cost. You don't have to spend no money marketing, right? And now you have an audio content, a reading piece that's out there, living, breathing, that you can tie to your trust. So now even after you die, the money will keep coming every month. It will keep coming, right? And then you can assign that money, to donate it to your causes. So that's why I tell people, man, really put it, when you have so much wisdom and value to teach, make sure that you are really going deep into all the modalities of learning. And writing is so important. I'm so glad that you asked that question, because a lot of people nowadays, they think, oh, people don't like to read anymore. No, they do. That's what you
Oh, yeah,
think.
they do.
You know what I mean? That's 8 billion people there. I guarantee you, if the Napoleon Hill Foundation and some of my friends and clients are selling a bunch of books, pro tip, when you are speaking on stage, normally we're not allowed to pitch, but you can still, put it out there and talk about the stories of your book or something that call to action, right? Hey, check it out, my book.
That's
100%
right.
of the money we donate towards causes, people, facing hunger. And now, when you are speaking, 1,000 people in the building, you tell the event organizer, hey, come on here. You want to cheat on my fee, but you're going to have to buy 1,000 books. And make sure that they buy from Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all the places where your book is, because now, when they see those big orders, what do you think they're going to do? They will push your book on the top on the food chain. So now, who's the best marketer in the world? Amazon. If you having people buying your book that in bulks, pro tip, make them buy in bulks around the holidays and give to the employees, to their loved ones. What do you think they're going to do when they see those big orders coming in, brother? They will market it now, recommended books. The same
That's
way how
right.
you want to see your videos being recommended, your posts being recommended on the top on the social medias. You want it to be recommended on Amazon, because imagine millions of people see it. Imagine it's selling 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 copies in a month. Even if you only make a few bucks, that's not bad out of a piece of book that you wrote, right? And then same thing with audio, right? 5, 10 bucks times thousands of copies. Even if you only sell 10,000 copies or 1,000 copies in a year, right? Multiply that times 5, 10 bucks. It's a lot of money.
It's
It's a
pretty
lot of
good.
money.
And it's also something you talk a lot about, Carlos, which is passive incomes, right? This or recurring income also, which I think ties between the two of it very, very nicely. You talk a lot about it, and you were just talking about the fact that you can have it in a will, in a trust, and obviously that can also outlast you for legacy for generation and generation to come. That's part of your legacy, and that's so interesting. And I was wondering, obviously, because there are some foundational principles that not only you teach but others teach for building and sustaining wealth. But I was wondering, for those that already have wealth right now, basically they have a platforms, they have a book, they control the audience. And now what they're trying to accomplish is they're trying to not only create as much content as possible and create as much value as possible for them, not only to increase their income, but also to increase their impact, which I say this very often, and you say it's something very, very similar, which is typically, actually pretty much all the time, the people that have more impact, they have more income. Those things are basically always in accordance with each other. Everything is priced in within the market. We talk about that offline prior to hitting up the record button. So when you're thinking about your special sauce, though, into accelerating this process, for those that want to basically be mentored directly by you, and for those that basically are maybe thinking about it, what are some of your best tips, some of your basically most deep secret sauce that basically you're keeping for yourself that you'd like to share for some of our audience so they can experience some of those aha moments and perhaps make the world a better place by those?
So, great question, Sam. The biggest thing that is something I talk to my daughter, I talk to all my clients, all my loved ones. I tell them every single day you always been thinking about and building your personal brand. Personal branding is everything. It's one thing that nobody can take it from you, right? You got to be building, and you never stop, putting those videos out there, just clicking the record button, putting out those shout outs out there, and just literally talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Personal branding. Don't ever lose that. Don't let AI consume. And just because AI is advancing, and then as you are making money, you got to start thinking about. I have a lot of people that come to me, Sam, and they're like, "Oh, I'm like a chess player. I'm a few moves ahead," and I go, hashtag that's freaking cute. I'm the board. I want you. I want you to become the board. Think about it. I want you to start thinking like governments. I want you to start thinking like the banks. I want you to start thinking like the hedge funds. That's what the big money is, right? Think about it. These guys, what do they have in common? They pay very little taxes. They are the board. People come to them, they give them their money. They go reinvest, they give them a little piece of the pie. But imagine if you can get a bigger piece of that pie. You know what I mean? You see a lot of people on TikTok and in YouTube, they talk about like insurance, using banks and leveraging stuff. But one thing that they don't teach you is that how do you structure this policy so that you become a bank, so you become a hedge fund. And there are ways that you can structure these policies where you pay very little fees, very little commission, where most of the money that you are putting in every month or that you are bringing money from others in, it goes towards increasing it. And not just an increase, it increases tax free. So you pay very little fees, very little commission. Most money is compounding tax free. Albert Einstein often say compounding interest is one of the 8 wonders of the world. No, my friend. I'll take one up, Albert. It's tax-free compounding. And now, guess what? Whenever I have a few athlete friends and celebrity friends that want to buy a bigger piece, whatever they want to buy, right? A bigger piece of property, a car, something very expensive. I'm like, no. Here's how you structure the money in a policy that is you able to not only borrow that money tax-free, your money still sitting inside there. That's where you heard it. Some of you guys heard the term doubling down. And that's how you double down on your money. You borrow against your own policy. Your money's still sitting inside there. You go buy whatever you want to buy, and your money's still growing in there. And then later you can just repay it back. If you don't repay it back when you die, it's just deducted from the total policy and then roll over into your trust, whatever way you set it up. And then it's so much more interesting. But those are the biggest things that I tell people to focus on. If they focus on personal branding, documenting the hell, the good, the ugly, when they're firing somebody, they're having a bad day, just go out there, just talk about it. Document every single day. Then do what we do. Interview people. The people that you interview, they become partners, they become clients, they do things together, they do events together, they go out there, they whenever somebody has a book, they'll push one another, right? And then collaborate with more people, right? As you make the money, become the bank, become the hedge fund. Find ways. Like a lot of people, like, look what Michael Saylor did from MicroStrategy, right? Start teaching now other corporations to do what he did. Raise money. Right? Now, everyone that he raised, what he's doing, he buys more Bitcoins. Right? Now he's teaching other companies to go do what he did because why? He was first. He have quite a few thousand, a few 100,000, right? Bitcoin. So guess what? Now he's teaching other corporations. Imagine when Apple comes in and Google, and now, you know what I mean? So it's like he was first. The guy will become the first trillionaire in history, right? Because he was first. So, but also, you have to think about what other ways can I diversify? Becoming the bank. How you do that? Leverage through insurance, right? Now you have your basket, multiple baskets. We were talking about real estate. Understand, you see a depression, recession coming, make sure 30% of your cash is set aside. So when that happens, you'll be able to go shop. That's what the billionaires do. When you have those big policies and you run through trouble, how you think, a lot of people, they don't know that Walt Disney, he saved Disney because not only he had these policies, his wife and his kids, they all have these policies. So now you'll be able to borrow against them, and that saved them. It saved Disney. Kroc from McDonald's, it saved McDonald's at the beginning. It wasn't cheap. Imagine buying all that prime real estate at the beginning.
Yeah.
Location. It took a lot of cash. At one point, it was very hard to keep it going. How do you think he was able to keep it going? He would have these policies well structured. So now he able to borrow that money against his own policies and his family policies, double down, took that money, reinvested back, paid the bills, paid the employees, build them more McDonald's, made sure that it was profitable. Now more franchises will come. So you see, people that don't talk about this, or if they talk about it, they don't talk the details on how they did it. So next time you're gonna set up, you want to learn about this, learn from somebody that you can trust. There's somebody that's not gonna make about the commission, right? Like I always teach, make about the mission. Tell them to show you the screen and share with you as they are building the policy. Oh, that's a big no-no. Something that I train many people over the years. You show them the screen. You make sure that you put most of their money is going to go towards increasing their policy and doubling down and increasing tax-free. Very little money in commission. Trust me on that. You're going to make way more money because now you're going to have loyal, raving fans. I like this guy that helped me set this up. I like this lawyer. I like this wealth advisor. Because the way how he showed me, he made very little commission. So I succeeded because now the person that you help me set it up, Sam, they're going to refer you more clients. You're going to have a wealthy, strong base of very wealthy clients. They are building big things. So who you think they're always going to remember when it comes down to money or talk about something? Even though we're not a financial advisor or tax advisor, but I have helped people become a whole lot wiser. It's because I tell them, let me, show you the tricks of the bankers and the insurance and the wealth advisors. And then all those advisors out there, let me show you how you put all the pieces together. So now when it comes about the commission part, you can see it. And there is a few buttons that you can click there that can make sure that you pay minimum, for the insurance piece, the commission piece. And most, so those are some of the tips and tricks, some of the stuff that I learned early on, and now I teach to people because, the best way you got to walk the talk. And a lot of those guys, they don't like me. They are advisors, the insurance agents, because I'm teaching the dark secrets, right? The stuff that the YouTubers and the TikTokers, they're not going to teach you this stuff, right? And
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I own companies, man, around the world. I invest in a bunch of different companies. Full disclosure, I have agencies in U.S. I teach people how to do insurance the right way. I got my money in different things, right? Real estate, blockchain, insurance, So I'm like a product of my environment. And I learned by doing it. I learned by failing. And I learned that, when I figured this out about giving away the commission so the clients can have more money going in their policies, people now calling I have a bunch of agents underneath me that I train them. Now they call us all the time. Hey, can you look at my policy? I don't think I'm set it up that way, right? So, and they love it because now they're like, oh, wow, man, these guys are legit. I love what they are doing. They're all showing how they build, so different things like that, Sam. It made me very successful, kind of being transparent and not making it about the commission, literally you got to make it about them, right? If you think about it, it's about them. It's not about us, man. Whatever product, people come to me, oh, Carlos, I want to get on more stages. I cannot make it about me. No, it's about, okay, great. What is that problem that you solve that your customers are seeking and they don't have, and that you can fix it with your frameworks? Okay, great. What is your superpowers? Okay, great. Let's 100x it. Let's put a branding strategy together. Now let's start applying. Let me refer you to a few gigs. Boom. Now let's get you on a few stages a few months from now. Now all we need is one stage a month. Less is more, right? So whatever industry I'm helping somebody, whether it's in branding, in the stages, scaling a company, insurance, building a bank, building a hedge fund. Okay, great. Let's talk about it. Let's reverse engineer the whole thing, but you got to make it about them. It's never about them.
Applicable knowledge is power. And you're talking about infinite banking. That's definitely a great way to get more knowledgeable on this stuff. So, pick up a book on it, pick up a course on it, or just call Carlos. And then you just get all of that, of the basically the pain work out of the way very, very successfully and very effectively. And truly, Carlos, obviously you are on a relentless quest to empower 1 billion lives. What a noble goal. And you're definitely doing such a fantastic job towards it. Thank you so much for being on the Meaningful Podcasts. Your backstory is so great, and I wanted to have you here because it's not only worth performing, but it's worth being inspired by. So I would love if you could share some last words of wisdom with our audience, please.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it being here, Sam. I'll leave you guys with this, man. It's my two favorite quotes and things that my grandma and we always talk about. The life, It's all about contribution, not acquisition. We come here with nothing. We live with nothing. Like I said earlier, man, it's not where we go to school. It's not the color of our skin. It's our attitude that's going to make us win. It's about being that person. Be the one in your community, in your family. They go left, you go right. Follow your dreams. Give zero craps about their opinions of you. And know that the days that breaks us are truly the days that makes us.
Thank you for spending your time with us today on the Meaningful Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review or share it with someone who could benefit from it. And always remember, your story matters. Make it meaningful. We hope to see you next time.